And we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil.
And this is Annabelle Lecter.
And we're joined
I'm
by...
Devanny Pinn.
Hello! Yes! Devanny Pinn! It's very nice to have you here.
I was nerding out during that intro. All
Oh,
these
well, I
blur
appreciate
icons on here. That was so fun. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I forgot we had to do a show here. I was like, yeah, all my favorite people.
Very cool. This has been years in the making. I think we've talked about you coming on the show on and off many times. And for
Yes.
some reason, it's not happened.
I mean, you guys obviously are busy interviewing everyone in genre that matters, and I've been plugging away and trying to make content and entertain you awesome people, and here we are. I knew it would align eventually, and I'm thrilled that I get to talk to you guys first about my directorial debut and horror in general. Hell yeah! Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on.
Wow, you just mentioned working at this for so long. Your credits are awesome. The things you've done. I was seeing you were in Rock of Love. And I was just like, what?
Oh,
That's amazing.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So like before it gets really bad, I was on one episode and they cut me like that.
Oh,
just
no.
just to be clear. But I am an old school. That's how long I've been around on this. I was the youngest one ever to be on the show at the time, and so that was kind of fun. And I was a huge like I was a little girl who just totally loved Brett Michaels, so it was a win-win. And I had a blast. I'm still in touch with several of the girls. And the network, and they're all awesome over there. And who doesn't love that show? Like I knew right away it was gonna be so much fun.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
So,
Just other than that, I mean, you've produced, you've written, you've done so many things, not just acting. You've really been a part of.
I'm a nerd. I'm a horror nerd. I just like I'm I'm very noisy and I'm very invasive, I guess you could say. So I would be on set as an actress and do it for movies, and I'd be like bugging the crew. I'm like, what does that do? What does this do? Why are you doing that? And they're like, damn, shut up. But I just soaked it all in. I just love I love everything about filmmaking and horror and our genre. And so I learned as much as I can, and then I wanted to try it out, just as fun as first, and then and now I'm pursuing it professionally.
So, how early on then, when you're in movies and shows and stuff, did you think, well, I would like to direct something?
Believe it or not, I had zero directing aspirations. I kind of still have zero directing aspirations, which is hilarious to say while I, just finished directing my first movie. But the reality of it is I like building the world that I tell a story about as much as I like acting in it, being a part of it. And so for me, I've always really been interested in producing and occasionally writing the story, because I just, involved in it long enough, you start to really love and appreciate telling stories. So I had written concepts and storylines for a while, and then obviously loved having some quality control. I loved having a say in the world that I was living in cinematically. And then I actually had the opportunity to direct a couple different times and turned it down because I just didn't feel like it was my best kind of work. And I didn't know necessarily I wanted to helm the story that I was telling. I just wanted to help create it. And so I actually had a couple of stories in mind for years that I wanted to tell, Black Mass being the main one that I was really, really passionate about doing. And I didn't want to do it until it was right. And I finally, just a few months ago, believe it or not, got the green light from a distributor that I had shot a movie with now 2 years ago, called Frost, Cleopatra Records, Cleopatra Entertainment. And they had frosted well for them, frankly. So they were like, let's do another one. And my partner, who I usually make movies with, is Brandon Slagle. And he's focused more now, sadly and not sadly, on the action genre. So I was trying to convince him to do this story. I was like, they're going to let me do my passion project, we can helm it. And he was like, nope. So I was like, shit, what do I do? And so I had like my passion project as a producer, I had it on the table, and I couldn't find anybody who I really thought understood what I was trying to do with this particular story. And so it came down to, it was like, shit, I pitched myself as a director. I was like, I have been living in this story for so many years. I know I'm so passionate about every aspect of every detail of it. I was like, I think I could direct it. And so I pitched myself, and there was literally no pushback whatsoever. They were like, yep, do it. And so I was like,
Amazing.
now I got to actually do this.
So can you give our audience a little taste of what this film is? What are they going to see?
So as we were kind of discussing before we came on air, this is a different kind of movie and kind of difficult to promote because it is inspired by true events. It is a true story about a very prolific serial killer in America. And it's a different approach to the subject matter that really has ever been done before. And so part of the experience of seeing the movie is not knowing too much about it. So I'm actually trying to figure out how to best get people excited for this film without spoiling any of the fun once they get there. And so I can tell you it is a period piece. It takes place in the 70s. And we have an incredible cast of really prolific genre actors. I tried to pull some of my favorite actors from all the different major genre franchises and movies, and see if I could put them all in one film. And tonally, it's very, very serious. It's a very unique experience to go through, and it's all told in the period of one day. So you're literally walking in the shoes of a prolific killer for 24 hours.
Wow. I didn't realize it was like that.
Yeah.
Sort of 24 hours.
Literally a day in the life.
So I know you've wrapped up filming. What's the runtime of this movie going to be?
It's an hour and a half, and I might trim it slightly more. We're going to find out. I'm like the very last parts of post right now. Move really quickly on it. But I will be able to answer that better in about a week, the exact runtime. But as of right now, in my very polished rough, it is exactly an hour and a half.
That sounds fascinating. That 24 hours.
Yeah. And you said this was really just came about a couple months ago?
Yes. So I've been thinking about the story for
right.
gosh, almost a decade now. Ever since we did a different true crime picture, House of Manson, which is my Charles Manson biopic. This is the other story with that I really wanted to tell. And so I've been kind of putting the pieces together in my head ever since then. But as far as actually greenlighting the picture, yeah, it's been less than 6 months from greenlight to now. And we are going to premiere at Cannes Market in a few weeks. So it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So I assume you haven't had a chance to watch it with an audience yet, or have you watched with like some friends at all? Or
No. I'm gonna send it to just a couple of people ahead of the premiere screening, because we're inviting a lot of press and prolific genre people to that screening. So I want some feedback before it's theirs. But I'm hoping, I'm both excited and nervous to hear what people have to say. I'm sure you guys know, when you it's a little bit my baby. And so when you put yourself out there like that, it's very vulnerable position. And, I've done a lot of movies at this point. And so everyone, you kind of put a little bit of yourself out there. And of course, you love your audiences, you love your community, so you want people to like it. But this one is just extremely personal. So I'm both really excited and really, really nervous to see what other people have to say about it.
I would assume it's a different experience watching something. Yeah. I know you're in it too, but watching something you're acted in and watching something you've actually directed.
So I don't watch a lot of the times when I act in a movie, I don't watch it because I get taken out of the experience that I like when I watch, especially a horror movie. I really want to get up in there and just lose myself a little bit. And when you're the one on the camera, you're like, oh, the lighting there, or, oh, shoot, I should have delivered it this way. Or, why did I make that choice? I'm I'm back in work mode and I can't just turn my brain off and watch it. So I don't really watch a lot of things that I do as a fan, but doing it as a director, and I do act in this one as well, but it's a very, very supporting character. I really wanted to focus more on telling the story for this project. So my lead cast is really amazing. And so I wanted to be able to focus on them and getting the best performances out of each of them, which I really feel like I did.
Do you think that helps you as a director, your experience as an actor? You know how to talk to the other actors,
Yes.
and maybe you knew, like, you know, what you, like, even there, and you're saying, like, maybe the lighting was wrong or something when you see it in yourself. And so you have that in mind when you're actually, you know, directing yourself.
Yes. So I get asked a lot about, how to get into the business or how to be in your first horror movie. I get asked that a lot. So what I tell people is if you're interested in film, get involved. And so I think when I started to work behind the camera, it made me stronger as a performer. I knew what everyone did. So when the DP pulled out a certain lens, I knew where the framing of my shot is. When the gaffer started pulling out certain lights, I knew which angle to cheat my performance towards to get that best image quality. I started asking the sound guy what all the different buttons did. So I know in my performance, especially because in horror, it's a very physical performance. I die a lot. So I know where not to hit the lavalier to make sure I don't bang the sound. So there's a lot of different things that impact and all tie in together. So I think the more that you can learn about everyone's individual jobs, the stronger that you will be at your chosen profession, or any of them, frankly. So I had done every single job on set. I do produce a lot. I never ask anyone to do anything that I haven't done myself or wasn't willing to do myself. And so I've literally done every single job, from PA all the way up to distribution. I've done every single job. And so the only thing I hadn't done was step in the director's chair. So I knew it was coming eventually, just to stay by my own rules. I was like, I need to know what that position is like. And you're always learning. There's always something to learn on every single set, no matter how much you do. And I really know, I know my genre. I really know how to deliver in front of the camera at this point. I can almost phone it in. I don't want to say I phone it in, but I know how all the beats, I know how to do it. But directing has really given a different perspective. It was educational in the best way, and I'm very grateful to the experience, and I will be taking it with me. And I think definitely being in front of the camera helped. I wrote a story for actors to showcase actors, and I think that a lot of people who read the script and ultimately signed on, because this was a tiny passion project, we got a lot out of it. And I think it's because I know what actors look for. And I know what fans look for. And so, because I am one. And so I think that really came through in this project and what I wanted to do with it. And people were really excited to be a part of it.
Gory Bits here. There's a lot of comments. Thanks, everyone. We'll get to some more of them later. Gory Bits, I'm already sold on this movie.
Yay! Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate you sticking with me on it. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah. And this sounds like kind of common knowledge, I think, but it shows that it helps. It's good advice to be friendly on set and be a good person, because like you said, then people were willing to work with you on this for, maybe a little less money, or even just like, hey, it's for her first time making a movie. Maybe normally they wouldn't, but worked with her before, and I'm going to give her, I would like to, help her in this project.
I had some people that I had the privilege of working in front of the camera with on various projects that I loved, and a lot of people that I just enjoyed their work and I've always wanted to work with, and they came out for the first time to collaborate with me on this one. And I can't say enough about the performances in this. They're next level. And I hope that everyone involved gets the credit that they're due for it, because I'm a little bit biased, obviously, but I do think it's something special and a great showpiece for a lot of them.
And how about filming a period piece? What were some of the, what was that experience like? Actually trying to make it look like the 70s, and I assume gritty.
Glutton for punishment. I am direct your first movie and then make it a period piece on a budget. Brilliant, Dev.
Maybe get animals and kids in there.
Geez, right? What am I thinking? So I knew better. I know how crazy it is to try to do that. But again, I'm so passionate about this story. I was like, I've got to try to make it work. And so definitely having a lot of experience in low budget horror helped. I know a lot of tips and tricks and ways to achieve things that otherwise would cost huge amounts of money. And so we cheated a lot in this. And I'm very curious if my fellow indie filmmakers will be able to spot some of the cheats. So it's fun in that aspect of it. But I really do think we put a lot value on camera. Like there's tons of production value. There's, I mean, the cast is great. We have cars, we have clothing, we have, a lot of people really saw it as a fun project. And so they brought their A game on this. And I don't recommend it on a budget. It's a lot of stress, and it takes a lot to really sell that effectively. I do what's called reverse engineering when I make a project. And that is usually I ask the distributor, hey, what sells well for you? And then I get a subgenre and then I start building it in reverse from there. So this project was kind of different. I did pitch them my passion project and go from there. But I knew that the story was contained on purpose. And so that really allows you to do things on camera, like have a period piece that otherwise would be really not able to do if the world was so much bigger, because it is a 24-hour period in life and takes place in very limited settings on purpose because it's actually following the historical events. We were able to, have to dress less locations, have less picture vehicles. It all lent itself to being able to effectively pull off on the budget that we had. If we were telling, when we did Manson, for instance, it was, 1 million people over like 4 decades. And I mean, just 100 locations. It was ridiculous. So I don't recommend that. But in our contained story, yes, it worked very well. And I do think that we were able to achieve the world and the feel. There's a lot of music, really, really fun period music that helps sell it on this. Shout out to Cleopatra Records, having a record company who gives you
that
stuff.
Would help, yeah, for the music.
Definitely helps. So there's a lot of things, pieces like that were brought to the table that allowed us to build the world without having to sacrifice.
I was listening to, I believe it was Frost. Frost is your wolf movie?
I'm sorry, Frost is
the one with the wolf?
Yes.
Okay. I was listening to you talking about how it was a COVID time and you were pregnant and there was just so much to it, and that filmmakers really showed up, like indie filmmakers really showed up and were able to figure things out.
Yes.
And be creative and clever and make things work. How much did that, if you hadn't had that experience, do you think this would have gone differently?
That's a great question. So I used to do very, very contained budgets, I'll call them, often. I'm moderately spoiled these days. I do get to work on a lot more, I don't want to say, just more well-funded, I guess you could say, different budget levels than I used to be at. And so it's a little bit spoiled in my capacity, a little bit cozy. And, much like everyone else, when the pandemic happened, it kind of threw a wrench in that. All the momentum that I worked forever to get, going. I was finally paying my bills comfortably. I was good. Nope, forget it. So we had to kind of start over. And I was really frustrated by that at first. And then ultimately, my indie filmmaker, my low budget indie horror kid kicked on a little bit. And I was like, I'm going to think outside the box. We're going to figure this shit out. And so a lot of people saw it as a restriction, and I kind of saw it as an opportunity. And so did the people that we were working with, all very prolific in their fields. And they were like, okay, we are only allowed to have so many people on set. We're only allowed to have so many locations that we're access to right now. Everything's closed. What can we do? And so we filmed with a skeleton crew in a car, basically on a mountain. And we're like, we're not going to shoot this like it's a pandemic movie. We're going to shoot it like this is the story we're telling. And it just so happens it fits into the pandemic parameters. And so that's how we approached it. And I think it was pretty successful. It was extremely low budget because bless Cleopatra, but we didn't even know if cinema was coming back at that point. It was the height of lockdowns. Wow. And so they gave us a tiny little budget and we're like, here, make some content, because streaming was still king at that point. But nobody wanted to take huge financial risks because cinemas were all shut down and we just didn't know the state of the industry. So we did it, and people were receptive to it. That was also a true story. I don't know. Did you watch the ending?
I haven't seen it. I was
okay, I won't spoil it for you.
People what not talked about, to try to not be super repetitive and then bring things up I thought were like extra interesting. And this film, I was like, oh, I need to see this. Where would I find this movie?
Well, I'm going to send it to you as soon as we're out of here, so you can watch it, and I hope that you like it. It's a very divisive film. It is inspired by a true story. Those of you who have seen it or are going to see it, I got a lot of pushback, especially from women. So I'm very curious to see, because you're a horror girl, so I'm very curious to see what you have to say about it. Men kind of loved it, which is weird because it's about a pregnant girl.
Yeah.
But the ending is the true part of the story for those of you who've seen it or are going to watch it. I got a lot of questions about, like, why did you end it like that? That was ridiculous. And because that's the true story is the answer to that. So I'll let you watch it. It was a tiny little movie, but because it's very controversial subject matter, we've kind of had longevity with it. It's still going. It gets discussed a lot in the depths of the internet and indie horror, blogs and posts and things. People are like bringing it up, so it's kind of fun. Which that's my jam. That's exactly what I love to do and have community about. I love things that stick with you. That's one of those movies that does. So it's pretty much just me in a car, which sounds terrible. I know. I promise you, there's stuff to stick around for. But it's me and Vernon Wells.
And I saw the one-man show. Oh shoot, who was it? Chaz Palminteri.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
A Bronx Tale.
Yes,
it was amazing. Yeah.
Yes. I'm very for this.
I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on it. So let me know after you watch. I'll send it to you when we're done here, and you can let me know what you think.
Great, thank you. It's Frost.
Frost, yeah, on VOD, DVD now. There's also a Blu-ray and a vinyl release if you're into the music. It's pretty fun.
Oh, cool.
Shout out Cleopatra. Yeah, thank you.
You mentioned pushback a couple times. So do you expect that with so you did a Manson movie, you did this Frost about a real story, and now Black Mass is about a real serial killer story. So do you expect pushback, and do you mind that?
I fully expect pushback on this. So this is the first time a serial killer movie is being told, and it focuses on the victims. I was really, when I made Manson, I got a lot of pushback, as you could probably imagine. It was bad. I got death threats. People were very, very passionate about the subject matter, very protective of Sharon Tate and the other victims, as they should be. And so they thought we were cashing in. And so I literally kind of went door to door on it. And one troll on the internet at a time, I was explaining my intentions with the movie. And it was to showcase these events and these people to the next generation, and to humanize the monster, the pop culture icon. He was not a guy on a t-shirt. He was a real person who really influenced different people of all walks of life to abandon their lives, follow him, and then ultimately commit terrible acts that we're all familiar with. And so the process of how that could happen was fascinating to me. I really like the concepts of cults, and I don't like them, but I'm fascinated by them. Criminal psychology. Yeah, I'm very interested. Sorry, I'm only a little bit of weirdo, not completely a weirdo. Okay, so I was very interested in that. And so I really wanted to showcase and humanize these people. And so I have a similar approach to this story. And I was really, especially I think with all of the mass shootings we're seeing in the news and things of that sort, I think it's really important to focus more on victims and less on the people committing these acts, and stop making them heroes in the press, whether it's anti-hero or not. And so I realized when we were watching, I'm a true crime junkie. I watch all the shows. I watch all the movies on them. And I realized most of them really focus on the person who's committing the crimes, and the victims end up being, just a couple of minutes in their story, or just a quick flash of a photo or a name. And it's very easy to overlook them, dismiss them, and just not focus on them. And so this movie is a different approach. We're still telling the story of this serial killer, but it's a day in the life, and we're following stalking, ultimately interacting with positively and negatively the victims of this crime. And so we get to see them as people, as young women who, you know, had hopes and dreams and families and goals and friends, and so I think my goal with it is, even if you're familiar with the events or familiar with the murderer, that you have a less easy time enjoying the story afterwards, that he's less idolized when we're done, that you are educated a little bit more on the crimes and the people that were involved in them, not just the person who committed them. And ultimately, I hope to disturb you because it was in fact disturbing.
I feel uncomfortable like thinking about it. I'm very visual, so I'm imagining in my mind the idea of watching, like, I don't know what happens, but I'm imagining watching a victim like living their day.
Yes.
Having someone observing their day, and then us as the audience, like you were saying, being able to really see, like, here's a human being.
Yes.
Living their life.
Yes.
And
it's taken from them. Yeah. So my goal is, even if you know what happens or what's going to happen to these people, that you're right up in there with them. The movie is very voyeuristic, and so it's meant to be uncomfortable and upsetting even at times. And then also you're meant to enjoy yourself and then almost feel bad that you're enjoying yourself. The goal is to really take you on an emotional ride, and hopefully one that you really haven't seen before. That's my goal with this. And it is going to be very controversial. It is probably going to be upsetting to some people. Some people are probably not going to like the way things are portrayed. I'm definitely prepared for all of that. But my intention with it, at the end of the day, because we don't pull any punches on things that happen, or the intention behind them, and so that is going to be very controversial. But the goal ultimately is that I want you to think twice about who you're supporting, why you're supporting them, and to look at victims differently, not as victims but as people.
Let's see here. Michelle Romano says she cannot wait for this.
Hi, Michelle. Michelle is amazing. She is one of the stars of our movie. And yes, and she portrays one of the real girls in this. And she also came on to co-produce it with me. I've been a fan of hers for a variety of years. She does incredible work, and so we've been looking to collaborate. I had her on as an actress on a female-fronted action movie I did years ago called Escape from Ensenada, and I've been looking for a project to team up with her on. She didn't know at the time, and I do this a lot, is when I have a project, like the Manson project, for instance, I had, super creepy now that I'm saying it, but I had watched a lot of people for years, kind of matching them up with the different parts that I wanted them to play. And it just so happened that Michelle also looks very much like the girl that she's playing. And so I had her in my mind for this for years. And it's the first of, I hope, many collaborations with her. She'll be with me in Cannes, and we'll have to send you maybe some clips from our Q&A.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. We'll put that up on the website. Yeah.
Hey, awesome. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And Michelle, actually, that's how I heard about the project originally. She emailed me about it, and so it was very cool. And she'll probably be on the show at some point.
So she can tell you about shooting it.
Yeah,
tell you if I suck a director or not. Yeah. She'll let you know.
Yeah. Maybe either before, it might be cool to have her on after you guys do.
There you go.
And and see what the experience was like.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So when you said an hour and a half, you might trim some out after you actually play it in an audience. So what I guess the question is that the final, form of the movie, or like after you see how people react to it, could you, edit it?
That's a great question. So, technically, I am giving this to the distributor. It is pre-sold, so it's up to them. Ultimately, they kind of got excited about it too, since we've shot it, and so they are supporting a festival run with it, which is not always the case. Cool. Yeah, usually the distributors kind of want to get it out and start making their money.
Yeah. Right. Because usually the festival is the idea to get a distribution
Correct.
deal.
To get distribution. Yeah. And this is, most of my films these days are pre-sold. So I don't really get to partake in the festival circuit the way that I would love to. And that's sad for me because I'm a fan, I want to go see the movies. I want to showcase it and connect with the audiences. Yeah. But they really understood what I'm trying to do with this. And so they have expressed support for a festival run through the fall. So we will be submitting to and hopefully bringing it to several festivals. And then with that being said, I do have to turn in the final film to them ahead of our con screening. But if they're not releasing it right away, hopefully they'll let me see how the audience responds to it and make any adjustments as necessary before we start our official festival run.
Distribution itself is something that comes up a lot with friends of mine who make independent film, and I think people even who make a lot of movies still don't quite understand distribution or have many horror stories. So I think that's a big benefit, already having distribution in place. Back to what we talked about before, I was very curious about the distribution scenario there because everyone seems to think, what's the deal with this? So I started working in distribution. I kind of charmed my way in and ended up being good at it. And so I attended all the various markets and really learned from a lot of different distributors as well as international sales agents. I became vice president of an international sales agent for a couple of years. I also worked with a domestic distributor. So I learned the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's a lot of ugly in that business, I'm not going to lie to you. But that being said, I really did learn about how deals are structured and distribution, how it works. And so I'm able to reverse engineer projects, and it helped me get movies made because I would know what distributors are looking for and why. I would learn about sales trends and what was easier to get a yes for. A lot of people just make the movie they want and then try to shop it to a distributor. It may or may not be something that's selling for them right now. And so you run that risk. So I just wanted to eliminate all of the risk and make sure that if I made a movie that it reached an audience. And that was a priority for me. So since then, I have not personally made a single movie that was not at least somewhere guaranteed to have distribution upon completion, or these days, all of our movies are pre-sold. And I assume that's because that's continually evolving. So that would be something you'd have to keep up with,
Yes.
The rise of different streaming sites. And then sometimes the streaming sites, maybe they're not as good. And then physical media up and down. So.
It's different. And because our market's been changing so much, a lot of companies, I'll spend a lot of time putting in relationships with companies, really learning the ins and outs of them and how to be profitable with them. And then they'll implode. Or there'll be a company that's doing really well and, we'll get 6 movies placed with them. And then all of a sudden the following year, even the following quarter, sometimes something changes, a buyer doesn't want to buy as much anymore, or an outlet closes up or changes its model, and then the profit margin isn't guaranteed there anymore. And so they aren't buying anything anymore. That happens throughout the year, every single year. It's a constantly evolving business. So even when you start to figure it out, you're not done. It's just you have to consistently be invested in it.
You mentioned the word invest, and I'm thinking this is like the stock market. You
very
really
much
on top of things all the time.
Absolutely. And frankly, it really is a risk. Very much so. It's because the stock market, you can really learn the trends, and you can do the same thing with distribution, but there's just so many elements that are not in your control. It's hard to do and consistently be profitable in. I feel more comfortable doing that in a more modest budget. I think that the chances of it being successful, because I am so invested in my business, and I get on here and I promote them and I keep it going, and so that if you have this much money to recoup and make profitable, it's a safer investment for me personally than if it's, we're doing a $5 million movie, then it's really got to be a hit. And you can't, we can't close up shop and just say, never mind. You know what I mean? It's really, really independent. So I stick to where I know I'm comfortable, which is in the more modest budget productions. And so far, whether or not we're profitable or not, we don't, knock on wood, we don't lose money. So continuing to make them as far as it is right now. And it's my passion. There's definitely way more safe jobs, more normal jobs, way more profitable jobs. But I'm a special brand of weirdo, and I just love this so much, and so still at it. And I hope that
I'll
you guys
be honest, that makes me happy because we do have guests every once in a while who just, it's good that they're honest, but they don't like the horror genre. And that's always kind of bums me out a little bit because it is, if you were making that, I would assume you like it, and it's a much better feeling for me if someone actually really likes it and then they're doing it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had a lot of people I looked up to, people whose work that I really love, and they'll tell me like, oh, I just can't book anything else, or, I got stuck here. And I'm like, I take offense to that, honestly. Like, I hate to be like, millennial triggered, but like, I love our genre. I love it. I've had several opportunities to do other stuff, to work elsewhere. And I don't. This is the most fun. There's no limitations. There's maximum creativity. There's longevity in a really crazy career that otherwise may not have it. I don't know why. That's a whole different topic, is why horror does not get the credit that it deserves to get.
Because the last few years, it's really helped the cinemas stay open, because that's what's really been, besides, MCU, Marvel movies, but like, even independent horror movies are actually playing a lot in cinemas and doing well.
Yes, they are. And that's the thing. If you look throughout history, we've always saved the day. Horror has always kept things going. It started, almost every single A-list star started in a horror movie. It has saved different studios over the years. It has floated different studios over the years. Horror always is that underdog kid that just does not get credit due. And it's always seen as a stepping stone, something that you need to move past. Fuck you guys. We're always been here, and we're still here, still saving the day. And, I think it's really amazing what's happening right now. Is like, for the first time, it's kind of coming to the forefront. It's almost trendy, which is kind of annoying too. As an indie horror fan, I'm like, you guys aren't real, but at least it's in the forefront, and and we're getting credit where it's due. And I hope that people will seek it out as an asset, because I really think that it is.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Universal monster movies. Like, how many movies from that era do people still like buy merchandise for, or make T-shirts of, or talk about? But they're around 100 years, and people still.
That's right. That's right. We're still here, and they can't get it right because they keep hiring mainstream people to helm them. That's something that annoys me too. Is like, they know it makes money, so they'll greenlight it, but they'll put like the CW actor and like some guy who's never been in horror ever to like direct it, and then they're like, why didn't it work out?
Yeah, or they'll even outright say like, we want to make them action movies. We don't want them to be horror movies. And it's like,
right.
Well, they've been around 100 years, so people love them. Why do you want to get away from what they are? It makes no sense.
Well, I think with the market changing as much as it is, and VOD really being the forefront, and cinemas really being open to content that isn't necessarily from the major studios in order to stay alive. Ironically, desperation has opened up opportunities for us, and we have continued to show up and show that we're profitable and reliable. And so it's hard to ignore that right now, and there's some momentum in it, and it's kind of fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Horror is so powerful. I very much apologize to anybody I would say the name of and I don't get your name right. BJ Mezek said horror sells in any language. And I remember seeing in college Japanese horror movies that, it was a long time ago in the land of pirating movies. I am against that now, but at the time it was the thing. And it was like,
well, then they were hard to get. But now, like,
it was impossible. So I think it was Ju-on, which was like the Grudge origin.
Yes, the origin story. Yes.
And there was a ton of them, and I downloaded them, and they were not in English, and they still scared me.
Yeah.
I loved them, and I still love them, and they still scared the crap out of me.
That's what's so cool too, is like, there's so many amazing stories in the international market. And like, we've been so lazy for so many years, like just wouldn't read subtitles. And so we've been missing out on like really cool cinema. But like, what Japanese horror has been awesome for a really long time. German horror, like they love their gore over there. There is so many gems that are out there that now that, like, again, with VOD and everything, it's more easily accessible. And you can support them even on the free sites. We still get credit for those.
Tubi's great. Has a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
My people, Tubi, I love you guys. Yeah. Gosh.
So much amazing Asian horror on Tubi.
Yes.
I have had this big kick for like a few months where I'm just like, all kinds
Which one's your favorite?
oh my word. Well, I just saw this one. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It was so silly. It was silly, but great. It has
This one.
it's called Hair something. And it's about this woman who was grabbed to have her organs harvested. And
Naturally.
she ended up, and what happened is when she died, she ended up, becoming like not a ghost, but her body was it was generating hair. So she had hair coming out of all over the place, and it's just crazy.
I love Asian horror. There is no limits over there. It's amazing. Okay, you gotta send me that when you get the name. Send it to me. I want to watch it.
Yes, I will find it for sure. It was awesome. There's humor, and that's I think something with some Asian horror, especially Japanese horror, is there's humor.
Yep.
There's so much. There's like humor and a really tender story about a girl and her sister's kid who she brought in, and this like really nasty hair stuff where there's so much going on, and I love it. Like
it has a twisted sense of humor over there anyway, and I think it lends itself to the genre perfectly. Like Killer Weave, I can't wait to watch that. That's amazing.
You'll love it.
Yeah. I really liked the sadness, but then nothing against him. I had the director on, and I assumed he was, but he was a guy from Canada, which is fine. But the movie is, an Asian movie. It was odd, but that's actually void of a lot of humor. That one's a very intense, graphic movie.
They're a little more serious in their stuff. I've kind of seen. I mean, there's humor too, of course. It's not always, but a lot of Canadians in horror, which is really really cool, and generally, a little bit more on the morbid side, which I think is kind of interesting. That's a whole other thing too, is all the different cultures like kind of lend their voice to their aspect of the genre. I think that's why it's important to seek out content from other cultures, because they all have their own trends, they all have their own voice a little bit, and it's fun. It's fun to explore those different kinds of things. Yeah.
And as a horror fan, that's what one of the things I like about horror, because sometimes I'm in the mood for something just silly and fun, but sometimes I want something really, gory and horrible to watch, or something in between, something thought-provoking. It all depends.
What would your recommendation be for like a foreign horror film?
Oh, that's great. I mean, so if you like iconic gems, Audition's a great one. If you like gore and to like cry into your pillow at night, then Martyrs, the original Martyrs, is a lot of fun. If you're a weird twisted fuck, then Serbian film's really great. If you like,
we're both fans.
Yeah, we actually are the only people that have interviewed him. And I was going to ask you about
at the time it was the only podcast he had done.
He's like, I don't even know why I'm here. He literally said, which was like, hey, that works for us. Whatever, you're here.
He's fast. He was a trailblazer. So I saw that before it became trendy. I watched it and I was like,
oh. No. She was too taken back from a Serbian film. It took her right out of the show.
The man is coming down and putting the end to
it. But I'm sure we'll have her back here momentarily. Yeah. So I'm just going to post some of these things here.
Actually, look, you can entertain the audience. I want to look up this film.
All right. Gory bits here. The gore, the merrier. I like that. That's actually... you know what? I'm going to try to remember this one. The gore, like it's more the merrier. The gore, the merrier. I'm going to try to use that for Featured Severed Limbs Film Festival. I kind of like
Are you going to give credit to Gory?
I will. I have to remember. Gory bits.
Gory bits. Take a screenshot.
All right.
Gore, the merrier. I love it. Yeah, Facebook user. I'm so happy most of these people have names today.
Yeah. Colin, it's very nice. Colin's going to be on the show a little bit later after Devanny, and he's in the chat. I'm a Canadian in horror. So,
I see. Canadian horror. Very nice.
Yeah. A lot of people here supporting Devanny, which I will show those when she gets back.
Oh, man. I wonder what happened.
I don't know.
What if she was on her phone and her phone died?
Oh, it's possible.
Death of the phone. But you can always have her back.
Yes. I think either way we'll have her back.
Really into horror. And
Yeah. Really fun guest. I'm glad you're here for this one.
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to the movie too, and not just because she's here with us. I'm sold on it.
yes. I think I was
And,
truly not just saying it for her to feel good, but I
Yeah.
really was listening to her and imagining in my head. I'm like, that's so creepy. And even just the idea of being stalked, like that people that can just be stalking you. You don't know. You could just, anyone in the chat, you, me, anyone could just be stalked at any time. And that's, ugh.
I'm just turning on my phone just to see. I have my Facebook messages here, but just in case she emails too, because I sent the link on the email.
Oh man. Well, that film, for anybody who cares, is XT, and the translation is hair extensions. And when I saw it, I was posting it all over the place because I was just, hey.
Ooh, sorry, my phone overheated. It was getting too hot in here.
I see. Annabelle thought maybe something happened. Yeah.
Wow. XT is the name of that movie. It translates to hair extensions.
What is it? Etsy?
EXTE.
XT.
Japanese version, but yeah.
I'm so excited to watch that.
So great.
I'm kind of bummed I didn't think about that with killer hair extensions. I'm not even wearing mine today, which is a bummer. But next time, we'll come back on and we'll talk about it.
You might not want to wear them after you see the movie. People get messed up by the hair extensions.
I mean, yeah.
Kurt says, thank you for interviewing one of the most talented actors in modern cinema.
Oh my gosh. He must be talking about you. I'm not doing the interview, Kurt. They are.
Kevin Kessler, hello, Devanny Pinn. Looks like the new Barbie movie will be absolutely terrifying. Okay.
I'm so excited to see it. I don't care what anybody says. It's so fun. It does look terrifying. I am dressing up and I am going seeing that, and I'm singing Barbie Girl the entire time. I don't care. So excited.
Song. Who did that song? I remember that song.
Aqua. Yeah.
I went to see Mario the other day. I wasn't going to mention that I went and saw the Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't want to take away my horror, card, but
So how was it?
It's very fun. It's a very fun movie. Yeah. I thought the trailer. I thought, normally I think all game movies are pretty bad, but when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, oh, this one actually looks really fun. And
I love the Lego movie, so I'm actually looking for. And I play Mario Kart 64. I'm a mean Mario Kart.
I'm a big fan of Mario Kart, so
I'm gonna go see it too. So I'm glad that you like it. If you guys sign off on it, then I'm excited now.
I've not yet seen it, but I've not heard anything but good from people about it.
Well, you're going to have to watch it too. So now we have like homework. We have a couple movies to watch before we chat again.
Yeah. Annabelle and I will be seeing Renfield this weekend.
And Nick Cage does not disappoint. I mean, what more could you ask for?
I was not sure because we were talking a little bit earlier about like action-y horror movies, and I thought, I don't know what this is going to be. But
it's Nick Cage. You never know. It could be anything. But I think it looks fun. I mean, I think we've gotten the serious, Dracula movie already. We've gotten the action-y version, and so let's see what he does with it. I don't know.
Yeah. I really enjoy these later Nick Cage movies the last few years. I think it's his best stuff he's done.
Agreed.
I love Mandy.
The desperation thing, it just gets you, So eventually, he looks like he has fun though when he's doing them. So that helps.
Yeah.
He did an interview. I mean, people could say what they want, but he did an interview saying it's the most fun he's had making movies is the last few years. Like, and he was honest about like why he had to do a lot of these smaller movies that he might not have done, but he said like it's actually the most fun he's had making movies.
It's because when you get into the too big not that I've only done a couple of much bigger movies, but it's very corporate. It's very 9 to 5. It's it's business, and so you lose a lot of the creativity and a lot of the fun that goes into them. So I think some of these bigger guys who for whatever reason are having to do smaller movies now are realizing when you get over, you don't have all the bells and whistles. It's a good time. People want to be there. People are creative, and like that's generally why we got into it in the first place. So I love it. I love that space. And it looks like, now he does too. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, then this seems like I think it's going to do well.
Devin Nick Cage.
Mike 1970 House of Manson was really good. Playing Sadie
Oh.
Mae Glutz. She
Let's.
nailed it really. Glutz, I'm sorry. She nailed it very well. Really well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I did a lot of research for her. That was my original passion project. I really wanted to tell Manson's story, and so it was challenging to step into the shoes of someone that you just really don't care for as a person. But she was definitely a fascinating individual, and I appreciate you checking it out, and I'm glad that you liked it.
That's a weird question. But did you ever go to the Museum of Death in Hollywood?
Yes, I did. Yep. I actually they talked to me a little bit while I was there, and I'm actually supposed to bring them some of my true crime movies to have in the museum. So thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. If you guys are in the area, definitely recommend that. Lots of interesting articefacts and information. And if you're a weird, morbid creature like I am, then it's a fun night out. Yeah,
all three. Yeah, we had a good time in there, which is a weird thing to say.
The
But,
art, I do art, and so the room that's
the first room. Yeah.
all artwork. Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very cool.
Henry, portrait of a
serial killer. Yeah.
and there's this painting of this white horse like running in this field, this just like
Spoke to.
and there's this like cloudy and everything, and I'm just thinking like here's a horse, a free animal, and then there's this huge looming darkness that's coming in. I thought that was just such a powerful piece of art.
Absolutely beautiful. Just beautiful.
Sad that someone who could make something like that did what they did.
There's a lot to individuals. They're not one facet. They're not just a bad guy. They're not just an artist. There's a million different levels to them, and a lot of them had genius as well. And so you think, like, what a waste. There was so much potential in there. A lot of them are incredibly intelligent. A lot of them really creative. And, you wonder why they chose the path they did. But, and in many of the cases, the genius and the madness went hand in hand. And so you get a little bit of both.
Lots of trauma.
Yes.
Lots and lots of trauma. Not that it's an excuse to be out there murdering people.
No, why murder people when you can watch us murder people on camera and not go to jail for it, guys? Keep horror on camera. Yes.
That could be a shirt. Keep horror
Absolutely.
on camera.
Keep murder in cinema. Oh my God.
We went to a convention in Kalamazoo, and the guy who picked us up, he was a very religious, which is fine, very religious van. It was very clear. And he was having conversation and asking us what we were doing there, because not many people go to Kalamazoo. And he said, we're going to do this horror convention. He started being all like, well, horror is such a great thing, because what would those people do without horror? They'd be like, all horror fans would just be out there with knives and attacking each other.
Yes. So I'm very religious. Fun facts. I'm a Christian, and I'm very, very active in my faith. So I talk about this a lot, actually. Mr. Kalamazoo is right and not right. Just because you like horror doesn't mean you're a closeted serial killer. But there is there's darkness in everybody, and so I love horror as a Christian. I love horror because it's a healthy outlet for that. So, by the time I am done purging my soul of all the really weird shit that's in there and put it all on camera, what's left is, Barbie.
Yeah. I'm a psychology person, and I love to do a study on horror and which kinds of horror appeal to people, and how a lot of people who are into horror have had different experiences of life. And it seems like certain things line up with experiences, which I think is very fascinating. But there's like what do you call it? That when you have that experience of horror, and it's like you said, it's like purging. There's like something about horror experience. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And we need it. We need horror. We need that outlet. And I think that's why it appeals to so many people. And I think that's why I think faith and the genre go hand in hand. And I think that anyone from any kind of walk of life can find it as a healthy outlet, and should embrace it. And
I
I'm
love that.
That's what I found. The horror community's very accepting for the most part of people of different backgrounds.
Yes, very much so.
I truly appreciate that you are Christian and you can be like, horror has a value. It's
absolutely
not like evil.
No,
you know that there are some Christians who are a little more extreme.
We do, but here's the thing about that. Like, you know, a lot of Christians like to point the finger about everybody else, but the bottom line is, you know, they're Christians because they're not perfect and because they need God. They're working on themselves. If they were perfect, they wouldn't need faith. You know what I mean? So I think the execution comes out wrong sometimes, but the reality of it is that, you know, there is value. And different people get what they need out of life, out of love, out of faith in different ways. And horror is one way that you can achieve some things that you need as a human being, just the same way that faith is. You know, different people. The reason there's so many different kinds of religion is because people are so different and they need to hear or feel or experience what they need to within their faith. And not everyone, it's not a one size fits all, because we as people are not one size fits all. And so, you know, those who are quick to judge in the name of faith, they're working on themselves and they're working on their faith too. And you can take what they say with a grain of salt or not, and don't lose any sleep over it. Yeah. They shouldn't either.
I always like talking with people. Like if you go out for Halloween, sometimes there'll be like a crowd of people who are like, no Halloween.
Yeah, we had that in Salem. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It is interesting to find out what motivates people and why people have the perspectives they have. Because everybody
free to celebrate a really freaking cool holiday. That's up to them. By all means, go for it. And, you know, I'm gonna.
Exactly.
So Black Mass, it'll be premiering in what, 2 weeks?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're actually, we're bringing it to Cannes Market. So if you're in France, I don't know if we have listeners in France or not, or if you're going to be there, we are playing March 21st. And following that, we are going to do a festival run. And I'm very excited to announce that as we get deeper into the summer. And I hope that you will seek it out. I am going to be talking about it a lot, so apologize in advance for all the spamming that we're going to do. But you can follow me along on my socials, and I'll be making tons of announcements there as well as in the trades. I'm hoping to bring it to a couple of horror conventions if they'll have me, and to play it there. So it really is, you know, it's a labor of love for me as a horror fan to the community. And so I really want to connect with everybody through it. And I hope that you'll seek it out.
Yeah, I was going to say quick about the having the festival run with already the distribution, because we've seen some movies recently that did well at the festivals, got a buzz, and then they got theatrical release. So I do think that's a good idea, even if you already have, you know, something in store, like for a physical or video release.
Yes. So we do have placement due to distribution already. Cleopatra, thank you so much for making this happen for me. There is always a possibility of a theatrical run or, you know, more premium placement or television. There's opportunities there. So if you see it and like it, please be vocal about it, because the powers that be, they do listen, they do pay attention. Great example of that is Terrifier 2. Shout out to those guys.
That's the big one. And then
they were a little indie horror film like we are. And, you know, and fans were very vocal about what they wanted to see, and it worked out for them. So, you know, there's opportunities.
And then it kept playing weeks and weeks. You know, it didn't even, you know, they thought maybe it would play like 2 nights or something, and it ended up playing for quite a while.
And rightfully so, because what a badass achievement that was. So happy for those guys.
It was fun. Annabelle and I saw it in Boston, and not only was it cool to watch, but there's something about watching it in the theater and knowing that some of these people are like kind of a normal audience.
Not knowing what they're in for.
Right. Yeah, maybe that's mean of me to say or bad, but it is a cool thing.
I felt the same thing. I was like, that's so funny. I was laughing my ass off when I went up for the Oscar nom, knowing how stiff some of those committees are and how like stuffy they are.
Just
how
the idea that they'd have to watch
sit through it is so amazing. So funny. So it's a really exciting time for indie horror, and a great time to be a fan, because we really do have some say over the content that's being made and getting out to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't expect to have theatrical run. Even, you know, Ennis Ben we saw at Boston Underground Film Festival, and it's going to play at AMC, and just a lot of stuff. And it's, you know, that's exciting.
Super exciting. I absolutely love it. And please continue to support it, because again, if you go see it in the theater, then it'll continue to happen. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This has been great, and we need to do it again sometime.
Yes, please. I will come back and chat spooky stuff with you anytime. You guys are wonderful.
It's been great to meet you. Happy to have you here. Happy for you with Con Festival, and it just seems like things are going, like, keep going up and up and up and up.
I hope so. Thank you very, very much. It is wonderful to have met you, Annabelle, and I'm excited for our follow-up chat and to talk some more movies. Yay. Thank you so much, Neil, for having me on, and I hope that you guys have a fantastic time with the rest of your chat. Thank you very much, and when the movie's done, I would love to send it to you guys for your thoughts, too, if you're willing.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. And everyone, just
you
you can follow Devanny Pinn. Just put in Devanny Pinn and you'll find her.
Yes, please. Social media. I'm a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm very, very active in chatting. I love to chat horror, so hit me up. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.